inspectors are eager to get going, anticipate working within the window before the turtle hibernation kind of stops them, and then continue on the way up to the actual facility. Secondly, included in the Commission's meeting packet was a request from Captain of the Westford Police Department as a member of the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council to do hold a training exercise at the Stony Brook Conservation Area. I think it was September 2nd. They do search and rescue, kind of how to patrol. They've done this the past probably 3 or 4 years, and have they like the property because the officers from out of town can only go so far, can't get too lost before they encounter either a water body, waterway, or the trolley line. And I'm always in favor of it because there are Westford officers who do the training with them. And again, I want them to be familiar with the property and kind of the ways to get from point A to point B in the event of having to respond to emergency out there. So if any of the commissioners have any questions or anything about that, I'd be happy to discuss after the meeting. And
that was in the packet right at the end.
yeah, it's kind of as a miscellaneous request again, as you know.
So do we need to approve? I think it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, as the commission, the commission approved it in the past. It was, consistent with the CR. It just wanted to let you guys see that, again, they're looking to do it. We put up notices kind of around the parking area, the access points out to the rear, day or two in advance, just so people are aware, and there is some visibility, and we don't have people alarmed by the large police presence. I know also in the past the police department Facebook page has kind of put something out so that area residents seeing a congregation of police vehicles doesn't cause alarm.
So it doesn't require any action by us, right? Approval.
It was just, again, for your consideration. And paving on the Forge Village Road where the emergency culvert replacement occurred, is scheduled for tomorrow. So there may be some continued detours in the area, and so let the public know.
Okay. Do any members of the audience have something for open forum? If you come up to the microphone and let us know who you are.
Emily Teller, 9 Texas Road. I have 2 questions off what you just said there. Is one of them the police activities around Stony Brook, did you say?
Yes, at the Stony Brook Conservation Area.
Okay. The second question is, I don't know when the turtles hibernate. So do you approximately know when the Groton Road thing will end?
So I can check with the order of conditions. The applicant, through the notice of intent process, had to be reviewed and approved by the Mass Division Fisheries and Wildlife, Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. I think it's typically October 15th.
So a couple weeks anyway. It's
Yeah,
not a couple months.
Yeah, it's a couple month project,
Okay.
but they're anticipating it being done in advance of kind of the turtle imposed shutdown.
Okay, and will it be like, is it 9 to 3 like Boston Road, or it's just one
I think
lane?
7 to 3 is their anticipated work hours, but
Okay.
that's. Check the Westford Public Works
Just
Facebook
curious,
page.
just curious, thank you. My main question is there any movement for this board to go hybrid? Because I notice it still says it'll be recorded, but there's no way for people to comment during the hearings.
You mean other than coming in person?
Exactly.
When we first returned to in-person meetings after the COVID shutdown, one of the things that we discovered is with the technical presentations, the need for people in the audience to be able to use a laser pointer to focus exactly on where they had their questions. We found that we could not have effective discussions without people in the room.
So you're saying the proponents or
The proponents, the members of the audience, people who have questions and they want to focus their question on a specific place in the plan that's being presented, that when we were meeting virtually,
Right.
that just completely fell apart. We could not have good discussions. People could not make their points because they could not direct, they couldn't focus on the area, indicate where their specific question was related to.
So
These are very technical presentations, and it just, in terms of people asking the question, getting in the information they need or making their points, it works much better when they're here and they can basically use a laser pointer to say where they have their question.
Okay, I don't have a laser pointer, but you mean I could walk up and point or something
There's a
like
laser,
that?
we provide a
Okay.
laser pointer on the table for anybody who wants to use
Okay,
it.
all right. Well, that
Yeah.
was 5 years ago, so, I'm hoping technology at some point will change because you sort of can describe where you're talking about, but, okay.
And we have found that with the very technical, the technical plans and stuff that we're looking at, we're able for somebody to say explicitly what their question is or where they have a question when they can direct it. That just did not work when we were trying to do things remotely.
Okay, I think the planning board is moving toward being hybrid, so that was my curiosity. Thank you.
June McMorrow, I just wanted to do some follow-up because Sunday afternoon I did call the Westford Police. There had been a thread on Westford Friends about the trash at the Stony Brook Conservation Land, and somebody messaged me and told me that they believed the boathouse had been broken into again. And so I did call the police and I did go up there, and it looks like the boathouse was broken into again. I don't know if you recall, but at least twice at the end of March and the beginning of April. I witnessed it once and saw people out on the pond in boats, which obviously they had taken out of the boathouse. So the police came up, and I'm not really sure what happened. I imagine maybe that window where the screen was ripped out and the ladder that was put up against the window was removed. I hope that the door was fixed. And I had been under the impression over the course of the spring and the 2 break-ins that the boats were going to be removed to an undisclosed location to prevent the repeated break-ins at the boathouse. So I did go in there, and I think I counted 4 canoes and 1 John boat. So I don't know. I just wanted some feedback about this. The other thing is, not last night's meeting, but 2 weeks ago, I did hear Mike Edwards mention that the Ranger would be starting July 30th. And I went up there looking for the Ranger. I have no idea what the Ranger looks like, and couldn't find that person. And so I did ask Mike in one of my emails, and he told me that apparently, and I think it's a gentleman, Randy, the name is Randy, was going to start this week. So I think I had also heard at the 2 weeks previous select board meeting, somebody asked a question about what areas was this man covering? Because I think there's sort of chronic problems at Kennedy Pond too. And I'm pretty sure the answer I heard was that Randy would just be covering the Stony Brook Conservation Land. So I'm just looking for some direction. My understanding is that Randy will be starting this week. There's no direct way for me to get in touch with Randy, and that I have to call the non-emergency number for the police. So I just would like some feedback from you folks.
Yes, you're correct. If you see, violations being occurred, somebody's grilling, somebody's drinking, please report that to the police department's non-emergency line to have an officer respond. In terms of, yes, he's planning on just being at the Stony Brook Conservation Area.
So is that, is that on, not a regular basis, so people can't plan around? He'll
Yes,
be
I
here
mean, I
then
think,
and
I
he
think
won't be
he's,
here now?
his schedule, he is planning on being out there this weekend. Again, likely the next couple of days as well. So, you know, met with him, talked with him today, went over expectations. He had some questions just from visiting the property by himself. So, yeah, he should be out there, and, you know,
So what are Randy's days that he's supposed to be on duty?
I mean,
Do you-
it's
do you
very,
know?
I want it to be variable so people aren't just kind of, you know, scheduling to go around when he's there. That was the expectation from all along was, you know, again, nice weekends are more pressing for him to be present at the property, but overall, it's not, you know, 8 to 5, you know, 1 to 4 every day, and then again on the weekends as well. Again, that was the intent all along.
Okay, so I don't know what Randy looks like, and I don't know what his hours are, and I'll just have to go up there and wing it, and hopefully I'll run into him, maybe. Okay. All right, thank you.
Well, but actually, back to your question, with the boats, there were 14 boats in the boathouse.
Yep, all but one was removed. I'm assuming the 4 canoes were related to the rec department's.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
There was
You
one-
know,
there was one John boat and 4
There was one
canoes.
John boat there in
That's what we
June.
want, just one John,
Right.
right?
And that's
Yep,
for the,
and
that's for
rec
the
department,
facilities
you know,
manager.
had canoes in
Okay.
their lodge. I don't know if they got relocated to the boathouse. I can't answer that question. I can certainly look into it. I don't know.
But yes, we intentionally got rid of all the boats which, the John boat was for the facilities manager, he had requested to keep it. And I think the rec department wanted to keep canoes. So everything that was kept on site was because somebody with business at the camps said they needed it. And then was there follow-up to check on this? Did the facilities manager check on the status of whether the boathouse was actually broken into or was?
I can follow up with the police department.
Okay.
I haven't followed up with them.
Okay, to see whether it was left unsecured or broken into.
Yep.
Well, the screen was bent out backwards, and there was a ladder up against the window.
Okay.
I don't know, it looked like it was broken into. Yeah. The other thing, since I'm here, I also sent you an email relevant to the recreation camp, the building that's used as the kitchen, I think. I think there were 6 windows on the back of the building that were wide open. And I think, I don't know who might have done that, but I just think that's screaming, come in here and destroy the place. So I think that whoever's responsible for closing up on a Friday afternoon needs to be more vigilant about that.
And
Can certainly speak with the rec director as well.
Well, I had CC'd Michelle Collette on that email, so
Right. So I don't, you know.
she's aware of that, but it just, you know,
well, and one of the things that we had implemented with this latest RFP for the facilities manager position is a report of, in terms of a report that, to be a checklist where they would go through and not at the end of every day, but at specific times, like the end of a Friday, just walking through, is there anything obviously unsecured, so that we could then feed back to the rec department or Teamworks, whoever is responsible for the facilities that they're leasing, that they did not leave the site in the
Yeah.
condition that they should at the end of the week.
sure.
So that's something that we're following up with the facilities manager to make sure that he's doing that type of check.
Sure, and I haven't come before you folks in several months. But let me just say, thank you very much for getting, I believe it was somebody from a monument company, to finally rectify the blue graffiti on that granite bench. Thank you.
Well, and Jim gets some credit as well, because he made out,
Get it all off though.
no, but you were one of the ones who put elbow grease into trying to deal with it,
Yes.
and that's appreciated.
Hello, my name is Amy Doucette, and I just wanted to do a follow-up on the land at Day Field. I was wondering if we can get a more concrete date for a release of the RFP, excuse me. We've been in contact with the office for months and even received a completed draft from back in May, and I'm not sure what else is needed to open that. But the longer that the land is unused, the longer and more money it will take to get it healthy and ready for planting again to feed the community. So I would just love to know if there's anything more that I or anyone else can do to have this move forward and with a more defined timeline.
Defined timeline, I can confirm, I'll nail that down with the town manager's office tomorrow and get it. Again, just to make sure that the insurance requirements are covered and appropriate for the scope. But we'll, next day or two, I want to get it. I'll have a date turned around and out for you.
Okay. Is there any way, I know you have my contact information, is there any way you could reach out when that is
Yep,
moved forward?
certainly.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your persistence.
Thank you.
So have they submitted?
No, the request for proposals hasn't been finalized and released.
The RFP has to be posted before they can submit a proposal.
That's sitting in the town manager's office?
It's more so sitting with me. Mike, I will get it out.
Okay, and so I have a general question about this one as well as the Hill. Do we have a bandwidth issue here? Because Hill we knew about last year. And it's not, I'm not saying pointing fingers, I'm just saying if we can't do it, we should tell, I don't know, tell the select board we can't do it.
I mean, and that's certainly, I know we included and forwarded along numerous emails received, in the last 10 days, even again, things received in the last couple days, and was included in a revised meeting packet. If we want to have that discussion, then in terms of, I know both, at least it may have been Elizabeth, there were numerous residents who, and again, the operator also of Good Pickin' Farms, expressed, having kind of the plan forward for these properties.
Okay, because we knew about this in February,
Yep.
or not earlier, if not
Well,
earlier.
you knew when
Yeah.
Farmer Dave said he wasn't
Right, yep.
Right,
wanting to. Well, and some of this also gets into where it's under our care and custody and where members of the commission or special municipal employees. Are there things that commissioners could do to help move these things along? The other thing that's out there is that we got CPC approved funding for the boardwalk bridge extension at Neshoba Brook and the improvements at Freedom Park. And in terms of, are there things that members of the commission can legally do to execute the next steps so that those activities move forward? Or are we constricted by there is stuff that we are not legally allowed to do because we are not permanent staff? And that's one of the other things that we're exploring is can some of that stuff be tasked to members of the commission? And, don't know yet.
Ready to move on? Oh.
No. Good evening, Mark.
Hi, Marco Layler, 105 Concord Road, excuse me. I was going to wait for my comments for the discussion about the RFP for the Hill Orchard, but since you Noel brought up the subject of bandwidth, I indicated in my letter last night to the select board, which I believe was forwarded to everybody here in the commission, that the Agricultural Commission would be more than happy to take a more active role in helping manage and operate both the Dayfield site, which we already oversee, and then the Hill Orchard, which right now is the issue of contention. So just want to make that more publicly stated since it was brought up at the meeting right now. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. Excuse me.
Excellent, thank you.
Anybody else?
Sorry. I have one more comment. I was at the select board meeting last night, and we did talk about both of the RFPs. And I believe since May 27th, I have seen Miss
Amy.
Doucette come before you. I think tonight is the 4th time since May 27th. And I guess I don't understand what the issue is, and I'm a little embarrassed that we cannot help this young lady secure this RFP and get to work. I see this as a waste of the land, but I think it's probably also a missed revenue opportunity for the town. I think. Am I wrong? Is this, she's gonna pay some rent, is that correct, or?
That would be part, that will be part of the proposal that's submitted. In the past, when this was farmed, I think we got, initially, the first RFP, we got, somebody just wanted to do it for free.
Okay,
And then we did another round, and somebody was actually paying us $1,000 a year,
okay, well, that'd be nice.
assuming they paid, which they didn't owe us.
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but it's just, you're right.
This is the 4th time since May 27th that I'm aware of. She may have been here more than that. I'm sure she knows how many times she's been here. I don't know what to say.
Neither do I. Okay. Any more comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay, then let's move on to our 7:05 PM agenda item, which is a public hearing for 5 Technology Park Drive.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 12th, 2026 at 7:05 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of the Gutierrez Company for the demolition of a 160,000 square foot commercial building within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands at 5 Technology Park Drive, Assessors Map 22, Parcel 124, Lot 1.
Thank you, and good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Israel Lopez. I'm the managing director of development for the Gutierrez Company on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined tonight by Brian Gaudreau, our civil engineer from Hancock and Associates, and our wetland scientist, Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental. As we discussed at our prior hearing, we've submitted an RDA in connection with our proposal to demolish the existing building at 5 Technology Park Drive. We're doing that in phases, and this RDA involves only the demolition of the vertical components of the building, leaving the slab in place and leaving, importantly, all of the paved surfaces and all of the existing drainage infrastructure in place. There would be no soil disturbance, and any soil disturbance or any removal of the slab would only happen after we filed the notice of intent for the second phase in the redevelopment of the project. So we have made some enhancements to the erosion control measures that were included on the prior plan that we've shared with the commission. I'm going to turn it over first to Brian Gaudreau to just walk through the RDA plan that we've submitted, and then we'll turn it over to our wetland scientist after that.
Thank you, Israel. So for the record, again, Brian Gaudreau with Hancock Associates. So the plan for you this evening is substantially similar to the plan that we presented during our discussion a few weeks ago. So as Israel indicated, the building is intended to be demolished down to the slab, but the remaining site improvements will not be touched. The the erosion control consists of wattle and silt fence, and we've essentially surrounded the adjacent wetlands and stormwater features. To the north, on the parking lot, there is erosion control on the east side of that to protect it from both the wetlands and the stormwater. On the northwestern side, we've added additional erosion control. That section was not included on the plan that was for discussion, so we've expanded kind of the linear feet of erosion control throughout the site. And then at the southwest portion, or excuse me, southeast portion, we'll be installing erosion control as well. Again, wattle and silt fence, and then all of these structures, so all of the catch basins within the parking lot, the access driveways, will all get silt sacks. Now, as part of demolition, the building coming down, the slab is to remain, so the intention of stormwater hitting the slab will be essentially mirroring existing conditions. So right now we have interior roof drains that penetrate the slab and go up to the roof to collect runoff. Those roof drains will be cut flush with the slab, and then runoff that collects on the concrete will be conveyed into those roof drains. So really, from a stormwater management perspective, once demolition is done, the site is clean. It's going to mirror pretty much the existing condition. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chris, and we can discuss the resource areas.
You sure? Good evening. For the record, my name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental. I'm a professional and certified wetland soil scientist. Just briefly to go through the resource areas, my team was on site back in July just to take a look at the existing conditions. We have not yet delineated the site. We will do so for the future development and permitting. There's no rare species habitat on this site. There are no certified or potential vernal pools. There's no area of critical environmental concern. There's no outstanding resource waters. There's no DEP wellhead protection areas, and there's no floodplain. Based on the 2025 mapping, we're in a zone X, which is outside the 500-year flood. There are two primarily wetland areas on the site. To the northwest, there's a large wetland system with some uplands in the center here. So this is through this area. We're calling that wetland A, which we'll delineate as wetland A. And then down to the southeastern side, there's another large wetland system adjacent to the stormwater feature here. And this wetland comes down here and continues down south through the overhead power lines and off property.
Can you read all these notes on here?
Can I read the notes?
Neither can I.
It's an old plan. We color coded it in red so it's clear where the work we're doing, and updated it. So at this point, this is a buffer zone only project. Obviously, the adjacent, the adjoining land area there under your local buffer. The work in the buffer zone is, as Israel said, is primarily flat to demolish the building. The erosion controls have been installed. All work will be performed from the existing paved areas and the building, from the building foundation itself. We don't anticipate any impacts to the buffer zone or the resource areas. Erosion controls are being used, and as noted in the RDA application, this work is in compliance with 310 CMR 10.02 2B1 for a minor activity. I'm happy to get into it. I don't think I need to run through it here. We documented it very clearly in the RDA, compliance with your local wetland rules and regulations, Chapter 275. We went through all your performance standards for alternatives, adverse impacts, mitigation. I'm happy to go through that if you'd like, but we've showed we comply with everything based on the nature of the work and how de minimis it is. It's a large project, but it's well contained, and we have appropriate measures in place. And based on this work, the site will have the 30-foot limit of work and the 55-foot limit of building. So no work's occurring within 30 feet of wetlands on the project site. So we're pulled back from that. So at this point, the applicant's seeking negative determination number 3 and number 6, which is number 3 would be there's work in the buffer zone, but the commission would be agreeing that there's no adverse effect to the resource areas, and number 6 is for your local bylaw. And based on our opinion, we don't believe there'll be any adverse impacts.
Would need to be a conditional or negative, we just couldn't issue a negative.
Yeah, and did provide the project team draft or some conditions that are sprinkled throughout the notes on the aforementioned, presented plan, and in the narrative. Just want to call them out specifically, and again, on the screen and presented in the commission's meeting packet for consideration.
Noel, you had a question?
Yeah, if you could go back to the map, could you outline for me? I couldn't, like Jim, I couldn't tell from this where the building actually is.
This is the existing building here.
Okay.
It's an old base plan. Obviously, the applicant will be doing a new survey, so they have much cleaner plans when we do the notice of intent. We'll have a new delineation, new survey there. So.
And how old was that building? When was it built?
2000.
Okay, so there'd be no
26.
concern about hazardous materials?
Correct, and we've actually had a walkthrough with the building commissioner and the environmental hygienist to go through and make sure that there's no asbestos-containing materials in the building, no hazardous materials in the building. So that's actually already happened, and we've received the sign-off on that piece of it.
And what was the closest to the wetlands? Was it between 30 and 55?
I'm not exactly sure the closest distance because we haven't delineated them, but we're more than 30 feet. For the demo, I know the deck, the wetland comes up near there's a deck at the back of the building. The wetland comes up close to that, so technically we're right there, but actually for the building itself, I believe we're more than 30 feet away. But we'll have erosion controls are proposed along this
Where are the buffer
backside.
zones shown?
So there's an erosion control.
No, not a road, but buffer zone.
You mean the feet offset?
Jim, or
Yeah.
Like, so are there buffer zone?
Yeah, so on the underlying plan, there's the dash line right here that shows the buffer zone.
We apologize for the plan. We wanted a plan that showed everything, including grading and all of the drainage, and it was hard to get something that was legible, but also had everything that we wanted to show.
And the deck is in the wetlands, or
No,
just outside?
no, it's adjacent to it.
That's one
The deck's
side,
up gradient.
and then there's another zone on the other, a buffer zone on the other side also, right?
So.
Where's that one?
Here.
It's right in the.
Yeah.
so you demo the building, you're pulling everything into the mid part of it, and then I'm transporting off-site, so there's no storage. So I'm thinking when you take the building, you're not pulling it to other areas, you're kind of putting it
Correct.
onto the slab and then removing it.
Correct. So everything, the first thing that would happen is all of the rooftop equipment, all of that mechanical equipment would be, lifted off with a crane, put into a dumpster, hauled out. The route would be up Technology Park Drive and then down Nixon, so as to basically, not backtrack. And that entire route would have silt sack along the roadway. But once all of the rooftop equipment is off of the roof, everything inside of the building, furniture, fixtures, all of that stuff would be removed. And so you'd only be left with the partitions, which in this building, surprisingly, there are few because it was a very open plan. But at that point, the demolition would start from the northern part of the building, proximate to that surface parking lot where you have more room to work with. And essentially, it would be from inside out. So you'd start at the northern face, so the entire building would not be opened up at once. So, it's not like you would take off the entire second floor and then, everything below that. You'd start at kind of the top corner, bring that down. The panels on this building are concrete panels, so you can essentially kind of pull the panels off of the building, if you will, and load those into dump trucks. So, and then work from the outside in and back, if you will.
So storage of this construction equipment is going to be,
There'd be very minimal storage. Everything that would be taken down in that day would be hauled off-site.
I'm just saying, Matt, just equipment. We typically have, we want
So the truck's stored over the
stored
weekend?
for as far
Yeah,
away from the
equipment
resource,
stored,
that typical requirement that we would have.
Yep, yeah.
Just
I
would
mean,
want to see
so-
that included in our conditions for the
So
negative
the,
determination.
So both storage and refueling, I'm assuming, Commission as well. Either or that or secondary containment, in terms of refueling, I don't know.
I know we always mention it, I just want to make sure we mention it here as a condition.
Well, and since Gutierrez owns the entire property, yeah, I'm assuming you could find someplace
Place to put it.
to
We
park
just-
them over the weekend where they're outside the buffer zone.
Yes,
No?
and we would be comfortable with a condition, obviously, to that effect.
Okay.
Would there be any kind of, for demolition, trying to think, no explosive or nothing like that?
No.
Implosions?
No, this is not a situation where you have a wrecking. I cringe to even paint that as a picture in anyone's mind. There's no wrecking ball here. It's all, essentially kind of dismantling, if you will.
How about jackhammering, any of that? Because that
Very-
raises dust that could go into the.
Very minimal jackhammering would be required. Sometimes the columns might, where you have rebar that comes in out of the slab and sort of into the column, there might be some minor jackhammering around the columns in order to sort of achieve, getting the column out of the way. But other than that, it would be very limited. And as you can see, we'll have, in the end state, there are going to be, straw bales that are going to be around any area that, those are the drains, so we'd have straw bales around that. But the idea would be to leave the slab in a broom clean condition.
Okay. And is the slab 100%, like very level?
Yes.
So
Well-
when it rains, I'm trying to think of the impact. Would it?
Well, and that was kind of, Noel, to go back to, during rain events, confirmation that the interim protections are sufficient and doing what they're supposed to. Yeah, I mean, it's good on a plan, and let's make sure that, if not, let's readdress, or reassess and, make sure they work.
We've agreed to have weekly reports provided to the commission, checking erosion controls and any other items that need to be addressed, if there's a rain event or something that is unforeseen at the site, just to make sure that the commission is kept abreast of the progress and any issues that may arise.
And if it snows, you're not clearing it off, right?
Done before summer, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. The idea is that this would be done before it starts snowing.
Well,
But if,
No, but I think I know where you're going. So you're done come winter,
we would.
we get snow, we get rain, we get a New England winter.
Yes.
Do you have a plan in place for, if there's accumulated snow on the slab, would it be removed or just left there to melt?
It would be left there to melt because it goes through the existing treatment train since it's flowing into the existing drains and going through all of the BMPs before they ultimately drain out.
It would be the exact same condition with the building there right now. When
Okay.
snow accumulates on the roof, what happens? It melts and goes into the roof drains that then go into the stormwater basins. We're retaining those roof drain connections through the slab. So as snow melts, the accumulated snow melts on the slab, it'll be channeled into those same roof drains.
Does the roof today have a lip on it so that if there's snow and there's ice, you don't end up with a case where rain after snow just kind of sheets off the side of the roof? And would that same lip be in place around the slab?
So what we would do is put berms, either sandbags or bituminous, just a small bituminous berm in order to make sure that any snow melt doesn't go off the side of the building, so we want to channel it into the existing roof drains. But if it were to go over the top of the roof slab, it'd be exactly the same as what happens today when water sheet flows, let's say, off of the sidewalk and onto the driveway. It'll eventually flow into the catch basin in the driveway and then be treated. So that's the beauty of maintaining all of the existing drainage infrastructure in place, is that any snow melt continues to go into the
And I would note that this condition, with respect to snow melt and a lip and whatever, if it just sheeted entirely off of the slab in every direction, the only place that would enter wetlands is that kind of eastern portion of it. Every place else, it would hit driveway, it would hit parking lot, or it would hit the stormwater basin, and then it would be conveyed to
Okay.
where it goes now.
But
So
we
it's
do-
very limited.
We do have a note on this RDA plan that addresses this very point. You can scroll up to it. I think it's right here, temporary, number 8, temporary asphalt diversion berms and/or sandbags to be installed on the slab to divert water to the existing roof drain inlet.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that
It's contained.
it's contained.
Okay. Anything for you?
I have nothing further.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience? If you want to come up, let us know who you are and give us your questions. And if you need it, we have a laser pointer.
I don't think I'll be able to figure out where we're at that. Hi, my name's Dorian Botello. I'm the general manager of the Hampton Inn in Westford and the Residence Inn in Westford, right at your property. Thank you very much. I know this is more from a conservation viewpoint, but this is the first I'm hearing of it. So I just had a couple of questions of like the demolition process. When is it starting? What are the hours? Because we have lots of guests. They complain about noise. You know, they complain about the highway noise, and that's our only safe spot is that other side where you're going to be completely doing the demolition. So basically the hours, start and end times, and what are the plans of what's going there afterwards? Because that's going to be a whole build process again that could disrupt the guests. So that's our major concerns with that.
The commencement for the demolition would be in October, sort of October timeframe. Someone in our property management group would be reaching out to not only you, but the other buildings that are, proximate to the park to talk about exactly that, hours, and the logistics for that, and making sure that, there's a contact person to have as a resource should there be, any issues. The future redevelopment plan is for age-targeted condominiums, 70 or so units, and that's what the current plan is for.
Just fourth quarter is our busiest time, keep that in mind.
Well, we want to make sure
Especially
that...
October, we're usually almost full capacity through the month of October. So
we will definitely be in touch. I'll get your
okay,
contact
perfect.
information.
So that was basically all my concerns, was just the time frames, like the start. Is there a schedule, like what time they start in the morning and what time they end?
I don't know the exact time. That usually it's not before 7 or 8 a.m. and usually it doesn't go past 4 or 5 p.m. yet.
Okay, that's basically all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Noelle Donovan. I just had a question about what is going there. I believe, isn't there a brew pub or some sort of a restaurant also going to be in there?
Correct. That is part of the plan, yes.
Okay.
So it would be a brew pub and 2 residential buildings, 2 small residential buildings.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. At this point, we're ready to issue a conditional negative or determination. Can I have a motion to issue a conditional negative determination with the conditions previously discussed?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to our 7 to 10 p.m. agenda item, it's a discussion of a draft 2026 Hill Orchard license agreement.
So included in the commission's meeting packet, town council was able to prepare a draft license agreement which was circulated to numerous organizations within town, getting responses back by the beginning of this week. The draft license to use, to harvest and donate. Yeah, no, I'm good. Close the doors. And so included in the commission's meeting packet was, again, email correspondence, soliciting responses to, and providing the draft of the license agreement. Updated on and circulated Monday or maybe Tuesday, were responses to the solicitation for the gleaning.
So this license was put together by the town council?
Westford Town Council.
For the purposes of putting a temporary,
For the harvest of the 2026 fruit to be donated to nonprofit organizations. And that's why it did not need to go through RFP as opposed to it could be a license, as explained to me.
You still can't read that.
I mean, it was in the meeting packet. Are you looking to read a specific section? Okay. If the responses received, we received one from the Westford Community Garden cleaners, two other two other interested parties were unable to do it in the time frame, and they expressed and also had reservations about the quantity and what they would be able to fully harvest. So with that again, the other two parties contacted were the Boston Area Gleaners and also Good Pick and Farm. With the Community Garden Gleaners, response, they were proposing to donate. If they are screwed in here? No. Okay. They were proposing to donate to both the Westford Food Pantry and the Merrimack Valley Food Pantry, and as they presently operate on within the community garden and the community garden. They did provide their release of indemnity forms, which again I think is one of the conditions of the the operation and
they can
use
take
of.
care of all the necessary grass cutting.
No, I'm contracting and have that organized for the next couple days. So we'll have, access again, the high grasses will be cut in advance of, again, I think if amenable with the commission and the license agreement is executed, I think they're looking to start most likely this weekend. So in terms of any questions from the commission on terms of process or?
Good.
The only question I had was, because I know they're gleaning in a predominantly vegetable environment as opposed to gleaning off of fruit trees. My only question had been whether there was going to be a knowledgeable person overseeing the crews doing the harvesting to make sure that, when you go picking fruit, they tell you, this is how you grasp it, this is how you free it off the tree. And I just wanted to make sure that that the gleaners working in the orchard were providing the necessary training and oversight for the volunteers doing the work. Because we want to make sure that it's not done in a way that damages the trees or whatever. So that was just a question I had. Sure.
So as you know, this is Marco Layler, 105 Concord Road.
Would you like to put the microphone up a little bit?
If I could,
I mean, you can sit down at the table too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hi.
You don't need to speak in, that's just for the Westford Cat, you can talk normally.
So as you know, well, Marco Layler, 105 Concord Road. I'm here as a private citizen, although I do chair the Agricultural Commission. So as you know, this is all very new to everybody, but we are, my understanding is the community garden gleaners are committed to following proper protocol for harvesting of orchard fruits. And there'll be some research done to ensure that the most professional approach possible will be taken when one is traversing around the orchard, because some of these trees are quite tall, so that's a whole other issue. Whether, I know we don't currently have access to those picking tools that sometimes people use. Personally, I don't know if they use them professionally. I as a general contractor myself, I wouldn't advise people to get up on ladders. So we will be looking into, well, I believe the Concord, Community Garden Gleaning Organization will be looking into proper approaches that are safe and secure and protect the trees and the people harvesting fruit from the trees.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from members of the audience?
I just had a couple of extra things to say if
Okay.
I could. So Matt had mentioned that there will be a contracted landscape organization or someone to mow. Is that not the town won't be involved?
It may be the town, it may be, it's
Okay.
still, it will be mowed.
Okay.
Maybe the town or maybe what?
A contractor.
Okay. So my understanding is that normally when someone takes over management of Hill Orchard, they are actually paid a sum of money. I believe it's $10,000 a year. I know that didn't take place this past half of the seasonal growing time, which is last fiscal year. So does the work that needs to be done at the orchard right now, is there access to any of that money? Because my thinking is this: we were told by the Boston area gleaners that the condition of a lot of the fruit up there and the trees up there is such that they wouldn't recommend recommend that we allow any of the fruit to touch the ground, that it should be taken off-site and disposed of. So I don't know if there's money that could be used towards taking some of the really egregiously fungal covered tree sections, and even trees themselves that are completely black with, I believe it's called black rot. If there's money to, use some kind of mechanism to prune heavily or remove the tree entirely and take it off-site so that disease does not spread to the other healthy trees.
I certainly think there is an opportunity to, again, the commission also has access to a couple other accounts with some funds. So if, and if there is a botanist or an expert.
Right.
Again.
Qualified individual.
Yeah, a qualified individual who has, an idea and can, I'm more than happy to look into it and, and have it done, again, for the overall health. And again, I certainly defer to the Boston area gleaners, experience with such. So if there is somebody, or if you know of somebody or know somebody who knows somebody, I've been more than happy to kind of get a, quote and consider it.
Okay.
And again, we can certainly.
Does that have to follow an RFP process?
It most likely doesn't have to follow an RFP.
If it's a single piece of work?
Proceeding ahead with the RFP, the invitation for bid for the Hill Orchard?
So
Yes?
I would say license agreement first. Look at the license agreement, there's the license agreement presently in front, as provided to the commission.
Doesn't have any dates to show what the duration is.
Right, I mean, so again, in terms of.
Are we proceeding with the one for management of the orchard like we had with?
Yeah, that's presently with the town manager's office. If the commission is, again, I know, Mark, I think in your email, in your comments, you recommended work that the RFP, the awarding of the RFP be delayed later into the fall as farmers and agricultural folk are, have maybe a little bit more time to, again, I deferred, if, your experience, if you think that we can release it, have a very long questions period, and then, get to a point of award for November 1st, have responses due November 1st, November 15th, it's, if that's something that.
From people that I've talked with who are farmers and in the agricultural world, that would be highly recommended and appreciated.
November 1st, November 15th?
November 15th.
Okay.
I think an open closing date for reception of the RFP, I think would get us a better crop of candidates.
That's, again, you have your fingers in that world, certainly.
So to be clear, what we're talking about here is a license to harvest what can be of this year's ripening crop.
Yes.
And it sounds like we would need to amend the license to include an effective from, an effective to date.
Nope.
Nope.
So that we can go scroll back up and
Okay.
That we're
To be filled in.
right. There's sections to be moved in, filled in. So again, entered this as it would likely be tomorrow with the community licensee being the community garden. So the days and hours of operations of the work shall be, that I would say again through November 1st.
Okay, so that's what we can
not
put
before
in.
7, not after.
Okay, so, but that can also include a start, that can stipulate the start and the end date for the license agreement.
Right. The days being, through,
And then what Mark is talking about is potentially coming up with a scope of work and getting a contract for pruning, removing of trees, et cetera, to address the
Fungal and bacterial damage.
Okay, so that would be a second discrete piece of work, and then we would have the RFP posted, which would take effect the beginning of calendar 2027 to work the agricultural year.
Now, the RFP requires that the applicants have the expertise for
Yes.
treatment of the trees, treatment of diseases that are existing, all that kind of stuff, whereas this doesn't.
Right,
exactly.
right.
This is solely for harvesting of fruit.
That's not what I was hearing. I was
No.
hearing removal of trees.
That's
That's the second one.
There's actually three things being discussed right now, the most important being the license agreement for gleaners. And then if by chance we can get an expert to put a number on what it would take to prune the damaged trees, remove the damaged fruit that has lots of bacteria and fungus that could affect the healthy trees, well, that would be another
So that's a short-term contract,
topic or contract.
a short-term contracted operation to prevent spread of the fungus or whatever, and then the RFP with an orchardist coming in, picking up and starting a regular annual cycle of operations.
And I would say if we do glean, the gleaning operation works really well, which I assume it will as best as it can. And if there is a cleaning operation that takes place, then we'll be more apt to get really good candidates to apply to take over the Hill Orchard for the 2027 growing season.
So you look like you still have questions.
So we chopping trees or not?
Not in this license.
Okay. Right?
So the only thing I would say is important for me tonight is that if we could agree on moving forward with getting the gleaners in there legally by having this license agreement approved.
Right.
And
So far,
then
so
the
good.
gleaners, I have another question with regards to that. Then the gleaners will go in and do their job as best as they can to save the edible fruit and distribute it appropriately. So my question is, does this mean only community garden members who are can do this, or can outside volunteers, well, the town members or?
I would say if they, through the organization of the community garden
Must be.
cleaners,
Okay.
you know, you know, they're the ones where, you know, if they are contract with a scout organization or, you know, I don't know,
Okay.
the Tech or Westford Academy, you know, a day of service or something like that. I'm certainly, but it's
Through the community garden
through the
cleaners.
they're the ones, you know, kind of being responsible, you know. That's
They don't have the expertise for a full orchard with all the different types of fruit that we have growing. So they're gonna be picking, and that's it, right?
Yep, just picking.
Not trimming.
And donating.
Not trimming, right, and donating.
Yep.
Not trimming, not cutting down trees, not replacing.
No orchard maintenance tasks, just harvesting.
And all that will be included in the invitation for bid for the.
So in the short term, if there is, you know, somebody, you know, a farmer and an orchardist, if they have, you know, have them come in and, you know, do 3 days worth of work in terms of, you know, addressing
Who's this we're talking about?
So
a
this
hired contractor. If we have,
separate from
Second
the
piece of work,
RFP.
yes.
So there's the RFP, which will be gearing up for,
Licensing agreement
Yes.
and separate from the.
Yes.
so there's a licensing agreement.
Now we're talking about at least three contracts.
We are talking about, no, we're talking about a license agreement. We're talking about an RFP to get an annual, a year-round contract for an orchardist. And then the third thing that Mark has brought up is a short-term contracted services to deal with diseased trees, spreading fungus or whatever. So it's basically a tree cleanup operation, which still is in the being defined and finding somebody with the right expertise to do that. That would be a separate, specific contract, not part of the RFP, something we would hope to get done during the fall to head off some of the problems that the Boston area gleaners have identified.
Yes.
I'm confused, what's the timeline for the RFP for the,
so the RFP, as discussed, it's presently with the town manager's office. If, you know, again, using Mark's, you know, involvement with the Agricultural Commission and being a part of that community, he's recommending that the RFP not be closed before the middle of November. It's presently with the town manager's office. If they say we should, you know, and the commission agrees we should hold it open through November 15th, I communicate that to the town manager's office, they release it tomorrow.
have we received any calls of interest by managers for orchards?
Yes, I mean, we've had, I don't have their backgrounds, I don't have their resumes. People are, there is interest in, again, between the operator of Good Pickin' Farms, who was at a couple meetings, and I have a couple other interested individuals.
If any way possible, I would like to get those people that are interested, get them copies of the RFP ASAP.
Yeah, once it's released, yes.
Once it's
Yep,
released,
yep.
yep. And we get that on contract as soon as possible also. Not, so we don't have the Westford Community Gardens people trying to figure out which trees to cut, which.
Oh, no.
They're not cutting
No.
trees.
That's not part of this.
It started out that they were going to be.
No, they were not going to do.
No, but I heard, yes, that's what you wanted to do.
No.
No, I'm just pointing out that when this professional organization, Boston Area Gleaners,
They're out,
What?
right? Boston area gleaners
No, but
are gone.
we discovered, we learned that things were worse than,
Right.
we're more or less still lay people.
They don't have the timeline to do it, and yeah.
Because the disease had spread so badly in some sections of the orchard, they were even recommending that the fruit that's on those trees should not be allowed to just drop and leave spores into the soil, which could spread to the healthier trees. And their concern also was that the damage is so pervasive because there was never any seasonal sprays up there this past year. Normally it's every 3 or 4 weeks there's a spray of some kind to control different vectors of pests.
That's why I'd like to get the professional orchardist on contract as soon as we can. and get them doing all the work with regards to rescuing the trees from the various.
So them assess it at
Well,
least.
but I think at this point, the information we've gotten is that that needs to happen. And so some of that is that doesn't have to necessarily be the person who's also going to have the RFP to run the orchard. There may be expertise available where people have the expertise to come in and identify what needs to be pruned, what trees need to be removed, stuff like that. That if we can have somebody who comes in, that's their skill set, and they just do that discrete scope of work, not trying to tie that to who's going to manage the orchard next year. You know, these are things that are coming up in this meeting, and
Yeah, if I may suggest, I was just sharing information. The only thing I'm really interested in is to save the fruit that's available to be saved. And the quickest way we do that is to set up the community garden gleaners operation so they can learn the structures that quickly, match their ability to pick with the ripening of the fruit. Because the fruit is ripening every week. There's a different area of the orchard that is providing edible food. So you can hire whoever you want to, all one shot, one orchardist that will clean up and take over the next 5 years. That's great. But I'm here just interested in supporting the idea of having a license agreement, so legally, the volunteers from the community garden can go in.
That sounds okay with me.
And
That's why I was gonna move, let me go ahead.
okay. Well,
Oh, actually, we need.
no, there's
Really,
other people. So, any more comments or questions from members of the audience?
I would like to just ask one question. I think it's great that we're making this effort to save whatever fruit is up there. And I think I heard you say various organizations that the fruit might go to. I thought I heard something about the Westford Food Pantry. Is that the pantry at the senior center?
Yes.
Okay, because I would really like to see some of this go to the seniors. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. So, at this point, are we ready? Can I have a motion to
Approve the licensing agreement for.
enter into a licensing agreement with the Westford Community Garden Gleaners to harvest the 2026 fruit crop? Does the motion need to include
Dates.
the fill in the blank dates for the license?
I have tentatively put down through November 1st.
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, once it's executed, yeah. Through November 1st, 7 a.m. to dusk.
Okay,
So moved.
can I have a second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Jim? Okay,
Thank you very much, appreciate your time.
thank you.
thank you, everyone. Okay,
Motion and second, was that Noel and Pam?
Yes.
Yes, thanks.
okay.
Signature pages to circulate.
So moving on to our 7:20 PM agenda item, it's a request for certificates of compliance for 4 Shelley Lane. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Gene DeCesare for Shelley Lane. As you said,
If you can go outside, or please, quiet down, thank you.
I'm here to look for certificates of compliance for 4 orders that I have open. They range from 25 years old to like 2 years ago. I finished the last one. Matt, a couple years ago, maybe 4 years ago, Matt told me about them, said, Gene, you really should clean them up. So now I'm getting around to doing that. Do you want to go through them individually, or how do I go about this?
Madam Chair, I think maybe kind of give the high-level overview of kind of each of them, and if the commission has questions specifically, we can get them at the end, and as opposed to making 4 votes.
Okay.
Jim, you have, just your hand raised right now.
So what I tried to do was for each of the file numbers, looked at what the plan was and what the photograph shows, and found whether I felt there were differences. Now, those differences could be because there's 3 more orders of conditions that were executed after the first one.
I only have the 4, so.
Right, but I mean, if I look at the first one, and I see differences between the picture, which is dated, a couple of months ago, it could have changes for the second file number, the third file number, and the
got
fourth
it.
file number.
So the picture shows potentially cumulative changes.
Right.
Right, that's
Right.
potentially true.
The pictures do show, so it's kind of hard to tell. So what I.
If he was in compliance, because, I get it.
Right. So like the first file number, 0996, I saw differences from the plan and the picture for the pool deck is different.
So,
The pool
let me
orientation is different.
kind of
shape
give you
of
an
the pool,
overview of what they're for.
And the house, something is different about the house too.
So 996 is only to address the house addition and the porch. That's it. All the other pieces aren't applicable to what was being done at that point. So
Do
the
you want to
addition is
use
the
the
part to the
la-
right, sorry.
Do you want to use if you'd like, you can use the laser pointer to,
Don't look at it. How do we do, oh,
yeah, so if you want to identify the particular portions of the picture that,
I'll see.
okay.
It was there. You hitting the button again? Oh, yeah, you have to hold the
You have to
button.
Hold it, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, so there's the addition, the right side, and then the porch is in the front here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And that's what 996 is for.
So those,
So the addition of the house and the porch.
Correct.
That's it, that's all that one.
That's all it was. In the package, I think there should be a letter from one of the planners at that point that said everything's in compliance except I need to grow grass at that point. Any other questions on this one? Okay, then going to 1154. This one was to address the landscaping for the left, basically a U around the house, the left side, the front, and the right side of the house. Not the pool area. The next one's for the pool area in the back of the house.
I got the walkway I noted was different on this one. Is that what you're
So,
saying?
so yes, that's one thing that's added. That was added 4 years ago or 6 years ago? 6 years ago.
As one of the other order conditions still to be looked at?
No, we did it without an order, is what happened. My mother-in-law had broken her leg, we moved her into the house. She was actually in the hospital and getting rehabilitation, and we needed a way to get her into the house. We looked at getting around the back of the house, we looked at her bringing her up the stairs, and it just wasn't gonna work other ways. I got a couple temporary ramps that I used, and just because of the angles and the distances between the stairways, it wasn't gonna work. So we went off and did that. I didn't even think of coming here, and that's on me. So that's the walkway around the outside.
Now, how close is that to the resource area?
So I think,
I'm guessing like 60 feet or so, 50, 60 feet based on the.
yeah, and it was previously lawn as well, which is, again,
Hardly lawn.
So that's not an issue then, right?
yeah.
And there's still about 10 feet of lawn between it and the non-lawn part.
Okay. The naturalized area.
Okay, that's the words.
The next one?
Okay, next one is the back area, the pool area, and the pool house. So that was basically putting in the pool house. We put a pergola out and back, and the landscaping and all that around the back of it. We made some changes. I provided, back then, we wrote a note to the commission and provided, I think, a list of 7 or 9 things that we were changing. I did the other day, or a couple weeks ago, to provide a diagram that we had written up at that time, I found in my papers, that I think I provided to the commission, although I couldn't swear I did. And then there were a number of minor changes done around there. We added planters, I changed the position of the door going into the pool house, stuff like that. But it was all just up on the deck area there. We covered the stairways.
House shown on the plan?
So the house is this area here, so this is the corner of the house, well, and the addition.
Right.
And so that corresponds with this corner here. So this thick, heavy black line is this corner in here.
So that's the house, and then the pool house is that little,
Yep, this is the
Right
pool
here.
house was shown here. Again, there was a pergola which got moved, again, as noted by the little arrow. Again, I think it's hard to see, but I'm
The
pretty sure it's.
entrance stairs and the shape, those are changes, right? I think I saw a letter on those two
Correct.
items.
Yep, and again, there were stairs going kind of to the right side here that were never constructed.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
We have a stone walkway, just a huge stone walkway going down the edge of the wall there.
So everything related to this file number appears to be done.
Is in substantial conformance with the plan.
Okay, good.
And then the final one is the most recent one, and that was to cut down half dozen or so, maybe 10 trees that you guys came out and approved, not you in particular maybe. And then also to replace the driveway that we had in place. We didn't, and so we did that. It's just exactly where the driveway was, and we cut down the trees as we described, or as we got permission to.
And I couldn't tell from the two
Right.
pictures. I didn't see.
I think there was, when the trees were cut down.
I thought I provided a picture of them, like a diagram originally showing where each one was, but I don't know if you guys have that.
Yeah, I don't think we included it. Again, it was, talk about large pines, poplar, hardwood, and then kind of the shoots.
If you think the trees are okay, I think all the other ones are.
Again, this was done prior to me. I remember,
Yeah.
when I started, my first,
This was before
It's
Bill
like-
Turner too. Who was the guy before?
well, I don't know, or Bill may have been out, it was Robert Williams.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
I got involved with respect to the driveway replacement. That's where and again, in going out, I didn't, and this was probably 2-3 years after the trees were removed.
More than that.
Yeah, and so as shown by the aerial imagery, it is certainly still well vegetated along the driveway between the dwelling and Shelley Lane. So again, I think there are a couple I can pick out that were removed, but overall, it's still well vegetated.
We have a mechanism in place so that we don't end up with 3, 4, 5 orders of conditions and file
So-
numbers
so
stretched over 20 years.
Right now, when somebody comes in for an RDA or a new notice of intent,
Look for the old ones, right?
if we can close them up, let's close them up so it don't.
Yes, or we don't start the new one. There's no one that's-
I don't know if that can be a discussion that the commission has at the time.
Okay, I think I have some words I could use to.
Yeah.
Make sure you hold us toward that,
Well,
Joe.
but-
I know you will.
and Jim,
Try.
one of the things that also has been done is I believe there's also a fee charged if your order is expired.
Yes, as at least if, again, the amount of work it takes to review an order that was expired because now we're, having to thoroughly review aerial imagery, we're trying to, decipher old field notes from either Bill or Carol, again, not having kind of the institutional knowledge.
That's why I'd like to get them
So we have,
closed when they're done.
no, right, closing them when then done would be great.
Yes, it would.
Closing them shortly thereafter would be
Be okay.
better.
Be
And,
okay.
and Sierra has been instrumental in following up with homeowners for more recent, last 3, 4, 5-year projects, kind of reaching out and connecting to say, close this up, let's close this up. If you're done, let's close it up. It's, in theory, the commission could issue enforcement orders to, for projects that are done to say, and I wish I had the capacity
You meet your
to,
requirement to go and close this up.
right, it is your responsibility to close it out.
Well, we have.
Title attorneys now this gets caught much more than
Yeah.
7 years ago. So when people go to sell, it turns into, the rush to get a certificate of compliance for something like this. So,
I've certainly seen that.
and I appreciate.
Sill Road.
Right, and I appreciate the Mr. Chesney?
Close enough.
I appreciate Gene not waiting to have 4 outstanding ones and coming in, the week before a closing. And, we've been able to work through getting, these, and it's been greatly appreciated on our end, because again, I don't want 4 open at one time to have to close out.
And it's only because you let us know, truthfully. It's not that I wasn't trying to, it's just, it gets dropped, so.
So is,
Motion
can I have, can I have a motion to issue certificates of compliance for DEP file numbers 334-0996, 334-1154, DEP file number 334-1166, and DEP file number 334-1632.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to our 7:30 PM agenda item, it's a request for certificate of compliance for 43 South Chelmsford Road.
It's due to the estate selling the property. This certificate of compliance was requested by the estates, by the seller's attorney. The work was for an addition to the house on this plan left side, as evidenced by the assessor's photo and the property record card. The addition was never constructed, no work was ever performed with respect to the order. I would recommend the commission issue a certificate of compliance for work that was never commenced and is no longer valid. The order of condition was originally issued in 1988.
Was there a check mark on the certificate of compliance that says no
Yes.
work was done? Okay.
Under B, the third checkbox on B reads, invalid order of conditions. It is hereby certified that the work regulated by the above reference order of conditions never commenced. The order of conditions has lapsed and is therefore no longer valid. No future work subject to regulation of the Wetlands Protection Act may commence without filing a new notice of intent and receiving a new order of conditions. Thank you, State.
Okay, so can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-0929?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on to our 7:35 PM agenda item, it's a request for certificate of compliance for 4 Juneberry Lane.
Gene, we can mail these to you, or we can get.
Okay, I just wanted to listen.
Oh, okay. You're more than welcome to. This certificate of compliance, again, came up as our office saw that the house was listed on Zillow and had an outstanding order of conditions, 334-1202. As such, only a portion of the proposed clearing and grading was within the 100-foot buffer to an off-site wetland resource area. Included in the commission's meeting packet was the approved plan. Again, here's the 100-foot buffer. They were proposing some minor clearing and grading in this area. The as-built septic plan, again, shows the house and all additional components located outside the 100-foot buffer to the jurisdictional wetland resource area. I did perform a site visit. There was some minor anthropogenic debris, lumber, there's a pallet or two, a lawnmower that was kind of in the.
Do we have jurisdiction on anything in this project?
Yeah, so there was a corner of, there was a little bit of clearing on kind of the, I don't know what.
Where?
This area here, if you look on the plan. Yeah, right here. This little corner was clearing and grading. Again, this is a part of the Hitchin, one of the Hitchins.
This is the 100-foot line here.
Yeah, so this triangle here was clearing and grading.
There was some work done there somehow?
Yeah, I mean, they cleared and graded. That was the extent of what the order was for.
Didn't come back to us? It didn't come back to close it?
They're closing it now. You know, we caught it before they're selling and, you know, in order to close it out. Again, I did the site visit. I observed, you know.
Substantial compliance.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was like,
Yes.
there's
That's
nothing.
all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1202?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to our 7:40 PM agenda item, it's a request for certificate of compliance for 7 Craig Circle.
As provided, an engineering firm updated the plan of record with spot grades showing the location of the septic system and extent of grading. And they have noted that a post and rail fence was installed at the limit of work instead of conservation posts. I performed a site visit today. There is still some stabilization that needs to occur within the wetland, the slope within the wetland buffer, this general area here. So while construction and the extent of work is certainly in substantial conformance, much like one of the prior order of conditions at 4 Shelley Lane, the disturbed areas within the commission buffer still needs to be stabilized. I recommend the commission not issue a certificate of compliance at this time. I can send an email to the property owner, letting them know that the outstanding issue is stabilization of the slope and that the erosion controls are to remain installed and functioning until such time as permitted to be removed and the slope is stabilized.
But what about the conservation markers? I mean,
I'm perfectly fine with it being, I think a split rail fence is probably a more effective means of keeping people from wandering beyond and, you know.
but do they have plaques that says,
There is signs, certainly non-traditional, that are present, that do note wetland resource area, do not disturb.
on the split rail fence?
Perpetuity for the fence.
Yep, and, you know, same thing with the conservation posts, it's, you know, and maintained in perpetuity.
Okay.
Okay.
But so there's something on the fence that says about a wetland resource area, so it's just a future homeowner that decides they don't want the fence, there's something to tell them not to take it down.
Yes.
Thank you. That was my big beef.
So,
Okay, so that one we're not proceeding on. Or not stable. Moving on to our 7:45 PM agenda item. It's ratify enforcement order and record site visit for 14 Francis Hill Road.
So, as included in the commission's meeting packet was the enforcement order issued as a result of the commission's discussion at their last meeting, incorporating the kind of actions to occur. And if the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I'd respectfully request that the commission ratify the enforcement order.
We should record our site visit too, right?
Yeah.
If you can ratify the enforcement order first, and then.
Can I have a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 14 Francis Hill Road?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, and now recording the site visit. So members present were
Matt, Margaret,
And-
Jim.
Noel. Okay,
Nothing particular that stuck out. Just observed the stream and the rocks on both sides of it. That's really about it. There's nothing unusual. We saw all of it from the overhead imagery.
We did see Japanese knotweed present, which is an invasive species. We did see the extent of alteration. Yep.
And
Okay.
we learned that half the people working on this project are named Matt. Three.
Well, we got
That's true.
three, because we have an attorney named Matt.
Named Matt.
It gets a little confusing, so I kind of figured out ways
No,
to figure it out.
we figured it out at the site visit.
I just usually say that two
Matt the
Matts.
scientist and,
Yeah,
yep.
Matt the scientist.
Okay.
So also provided to the commission today, was it today, this morning?
This morning.
Yeah, was a restoration narrative, an initial restoration narrative as provided by Matt, the wetland scientist. And again, kind of goes over the limits of work, again, erosion and sedimentation controls, retention of existing rocks, and the boulders, soil preparation, again, as it's some areas be compacted gravel and not suitable. Did note the knotweed and the other invasive vegetation present, and then native seed, seeding the area with native seeds, and then shrubs. Plantings shall be located throughout as what may be available. And then a performance kind of monitoring and maintenance for kind of the next 2 growing seasons for both the vegetative cover, ground cover, shrubs, and then kind of what's to be
How do
expected.
things like extensions over 2 growing seasons work with a property that's going up for sale?
That is a question I would defer to their attorneys, and and that's again, I think the prospective buyers have been receptive to.
Yes.
I don't know if
She's a
they.
guard.
I mean, the closing was supposed to be Friday.
So what would happen, like in a couple of years, you or your successor would go knock on the door? Introduce
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I think it's it's a follow-up. It's their responsibility. The enforcement order was issued to them to do X, Y, Z, have a plan prepared, and execute it. If it's not hopefully after the first once it gets established in the next hopefully next
No, one season, hopefully,
yeah,
right off the
two,
bat.
yeah, and then it's it's just kind of a follow-up. Again, whether it's I mean, if the commission wants, we can have kind of the wetland scientist prepay, kind of he is acting kind of as the third party to confirm and come out and do that. So in 2 years, it's not, oh, I have to go get a new contract with the plumbers. It's I've already been paid, I'm under contract, and then he can coordinate with the new property owner, follow up with the commission.
Well, if some of this work is happening this fall,
Mhm.
would the commission want reports to basically, given, one of the things that struck me when I read this is the area being restored is 11,800 square feet, which is more than a quarter of an acre.
Yeah, I don't see
Yeah,
how
actually,
it's that much.
It's not that much, because I measured it today with my wheel. And actually, even if I count some of the places that Matt, the wetlands guy, said we're not gonna touch, even that, it's about 8,000 square feet, and that's a stretch, because it's 100 by about 40.
Well-
And then there's another spot that's the same, but it's not as disturbed as the other one, but
And that was,
I'm not sure where you got 11,800, but
well,
we
and
can
I,
count it as that if you'd like, but I don't think
well, no,
that's what it
because,
is.
and that's, reviewing this plan, one of the things that I realized is it lays it out, but there's no pictures. There's nothing even like, I don't know if you had to have a septic test done, or if you have a recent septic plan, just even something where there's a line drawn that says, this is where we're gonna put loam down. loam and seed. This is where those shrubs are gonna be planted. There's no picture that we can look at to visualize what this is gonna look like when it's done.
Okay, so I think what Matt is telling me too as well.
Matt the scientist.
Matt the scientist.
Okay,
Is he is explained to me what I need to do.
okay.
And then he, I think, is using a little bit of his fluidity to see where it would be best to put some of these native shrubs and where it would be best. And I'm deferring to him for that particular reason.
And I did follow up with that question today, again, included in
Right.
kind of the responses to Margaret did provide some questions and, was, and Mr. Morrow was, very thorough in his answers. I did follow up with kind of having some sketch or some, marking up of the area, he references.
Do that? He's gonna do that?
Yeah, and again, and so I think with this being the initial kind of proposal for restoration, it's, here's what he saw, here's what he thinks should be, here's how they can be addressed. As part, and he references, the commission's meeting packet, proposals, the photos in the enforcement order. So it's certainly something of, I agree that, if the commission is, doesn't have any, we can kind of change this from a conceptual restoration plan. We follow up with Mr. Morrow and say, we liked all this. Can the commission, the commission had thoughts about A, B, and C. We'd also like to see, just a general GIS kind of overlay of where this all is occurring, just so, it gives us some frame of reference to, and so I think that for a step 2, I think that we can certainly get, have a sketch, have something annotated, that,
So that we have something to compare, that when we look at it, when it's all done, we have something to compare it to that says, yeah, this is what we thought we were gonna get, this is what ended up growing. So that,
Absolutely.
it's,
That's what I think half the reason for the site visit was so you could see a more cohesive thing. And then when Matt is giving us this proposal, anyone that was there can kind of say, okay,
Yeah,
these
but
are
it
the
just-
areas,
it's-
and then we'll.
yeah, are the shrubs going to be right there so they're near the stream to replace some of the trees that, it's just, there were things that are said that weren't specific enough, and sometimes a picture is worth an awful lot of words.
Certainly is.
Yeah, I don't know which picture he will give you that shows exactly where those plants are,
but roughly.
if it's general,
Yeah.
Because I think, I've done a lot of architectural plans in 40 years, and what happens is you usually manipulate things throughout the process a lot.
Yeah.
Because they just don't make as much sense until you look at it and say, you know what, this is probably a more beneficial spot to do these things, and I think that's what he's reserving. He can put it on paper,
Yeah,
but I think we probably reserve the right, and everybody here would probably reserve the right to adjust that if we needed to, in a more beneficial way.
Yeah.
For a plant or a shrub to be here instead of over here that's doing nothing, maybe. I think that's what he was getting at with the answers to some of the things.
yeah, but it just, in terms of, because 2 weeks ago, we went through a DEP-led training course on the riverfront area, and it really talked very specifically about what the priorities are from a DEP perspective of when you're doing work in the riverfront area, protecting closest to the stream, an uninterrupted vegetated corridor right along. And so that was giving me the mindset that says the most protection should be near the stream.
Which I think right now,
But
he
it just,
thinks that's
right, but it didn't,
established.
when you think about how large an area, I wanted to know that the plants were gonna be near the stream, not off in some other corner.
No, and I think that's how he
that's
feels too,
understandable,
because it's
yeah.
kind
It's
of
just-
ridiculous to put something in
Yeah.
an obsolete area as opposed to a more,
Yeah.
effective area.
Yeah.
And he's overseeing that. Like, I can say, hey, why don't we put it here? But he's the person I'm gonna say, where are we putting this? And he's
I
gonna say,
guess-
well, it's
Yeah,
more
but, you know,
advantageous to do
what I
that.
like, what I don't like is, we wanna see a plan that gives us some comfort level that we know where things are gonna go. What I'm hearing though, well, that plan is maybe just a starting point and then we're gonna revise as appropriate in the field. I don't know if that's
I mean,
necessarily
with
what we
with the
envision.
commission, does the commission want it to be, again, kind of standard
I mean, if they're
order?
gonna deviate from what the plan is, I would prefer them to come to us and at least say, hey, you know, upon
Or review by
further
my- or
review,
review.
we wanna, or our agent,
Yep.
you know, we wanna make an adjustment.
Yep.
But I don't wanna see that happen without the commission's or its agent's approval.
Well, and I guess one of the things too is, where did the number 5 shrubs come from? In terms of thinking more about DEP, that they basically say, you know, in terms of,
If it shows us a plan with 5 shrubs shown on it, then we know roughly where they're going.
right, but it just, and I guess some of it is why was the number 5 chosen?
Matt's the,
No, and that's
Matt's
the
the
scientist.
specialist, and that's why I hired him,
And-
so I'm
right,
not
but this
exactly
is
sure.
also why
I can't
it's
answer that
really,
question
really-
on his behalf, but.
But it's also why it's really, really hard for us when something is sent out on a Monday and we see it on a Wednesday and we're talking about it Wednesday evening, we haven't had the time to really kind of,
Look at it, think about it, digest it, and decide how we might want to
Yeah.
approve or
It's-
we
yeah.
think it's acceptable.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that's why, you know, we tried to get it as quickly as possible, and today was the next meeting, so
Yeah,
we had
right, I
already
mean,
agreed.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the interest
And
of
it gives us some
time.
time to find
Yeah,
the
I
Yeah.
mean,
one scientist.
I really think Matt's a practical human and a very smart guy, and Matt Salem can explain, you know, he knows.
As long
and
as
he's
Matt
worked
works
him.
with Matt and
Yeah.
He's
gets
worked
done
with
in the
him, so I
appropriate
guess he
fashion,
knows more
that
about
we'll
it.
be all set.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, except that the other thing that, one of my last questions was, because I don't want a repeat of this, you know, is there was a slope. The slope is eliminated, there's a nice level spot, and thinking about new homeowners is I think we want to be very clear for the ownership going forward is put conservation markers, an area that says nobody, you know, you do not do anything beyond here, and it's, you know, that's another thing which would be nice to put on the plan, so that we can long-term ensure that there's a protective vegetated buffer along the stream.
All right.
Yeah, no, he actually, yeah, I think he said something with the
The
markers.
Marcus was
Or-
done,
Yeah, and it,
That's on
but,
there.
but it's, part of it is deciding where, you know, where in the field those markers go. And I think the commission, you know, a lot of times we have benchmarks where we say, you know, the conservation post should be at, you know, and I think, it, you know, 50-foot buffer, this is maybe something that members of the commission, we need to think about, that says what, DEP would like a 100-foot buffer. I don't know that that's feasible on this site.
I think it'd be difficult, but I think there can be, I mean, 50 feet, I mean, there's already, you know, if you know, and as, you know, Mr. Morrow has, you know, explained, he's, you know, not recommending, you know, both, any of the rock retaining walls be removed. I mean, that's a pretty effective, you know, physical delineation now, you know, in terms of, you know, but, you know, if we can put.
How many people around are gonna be trying to move those rocks?
No.
No,
It's a nice
but
level
my
area where you
point, you
can
know,
park your
that's true.
camper and your, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
it's-
my thought being, you know, if we put a split rail, you know, have a split rail fence, have a posted rail fence, have something, you know. like,
So markers,
I mean, it is a
Markers-
7-foot
Yeah.
drop down.
Right, well,
don't
right, I
think
mean,
it
and
was-
some of it is also like kind of a safety issue, but it's not my property, I can't, you know, markers or a fence of some sort, you know, at the top of this. All right, well, now we've, you know, it's there's a physical barrier on top of a physical barrier. And, you know, and then but to Margaret's point, I do think, you know,
'cause I mean-
posts or posts, fence, something, you know, so that, you know, this doesn't become, you know, in 10 years, you know, the next homeowner comes in and, you know, that's great camper parking or,
And
somebody
the same
operates
way
a
on-
business.
But also on the
the other
northern
way.
side, yeah,
Yeah.
is, you know, is, if it's also at the top of that other boulder retaining wall, you know, that's fine with me, but it just,
I mean, it seems to me the marker part up at the boulder wall wouldn't be as effective as markers down along the area itself, so people don't go in there or aren't.
Right, no, I mean, and so on the northerly side, I would say, again, you know, some form of
We can put markers out there.
physical delineation at the top of the, above the boulder retaining wall. But then also, again, kind of coming down
Yeah.
at the edge of, you know, the access gravel access drive that goes, you know, over the culvert. So that gets, you know, renaturalized and, you know, isn't used for parking or turnaround or something like that as well.
or just somebody decides to mow it and, you know, make a new soccer field out of it or something like that. It just,
No, I get it,
No, I understand. So,
Yeah.
the question I have, I mean, did you look at the plan? Because it is a good plan to start out, if you want to call it that, but probably would arrive at this plan at the end, other than the delineation of showing you exactly where things are. He can probably do that.
Right,
Right. So I also am trying to figure out the time frame because we already moved the closing up 2 weeks, so we're trying to get it started at least. And then once you have that, he can correspond with Matt. And would that be enough?
so the plan is to do the loaming, the seeding, et cetera, right now.
Everything, right?
Yeah, so because where I kind of got off tangent was in terms of it's installed, you know, over the growing season, it's installed now.
Yep.
Do we want to see a report in the spring to see how it made it through the winter with no erosion?
What was his, after the first full growing season? So, yeah, I mean, we can, again, as to include, we could say, you know, we want documentation when it's been complete, when, you know, it's been loamed and seeded and, you know.
Yeah.
And then something, again, November 1st or beginning of the next, you know, if we want to see how it overwinter, you know, something.
My concern would be over winter, if we have a hellacious winter and spring, if somebody needs to go in and do some touch-ups, I don't want to wait till next fall, that's, you know, is do it in the spring, where you can recover lost ground.
Okay, so the only.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. It's just, the logistics of it is it's a new homeowner. And so I don't think they care if I do it because it's my responsibility, but I just want to make sure.
No, but it would be, so, and I guess, Matt, who would, in terms of providing a report about establishment of plantings, stuff like that, in terms of when we get reports like that, who are those normally generated by?
I would say by this would be, I would expect this to come from Mr. Moore.
Okay, so then he would basically say, you know, come spring,
Things
you
are
did a
this
great
way.
job,
Right.
it wintered nicely.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, part of this-
so professional wetland scientist.
I think also part of the problem is simply that we have, I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, but our time frame to have you approve it and it be executed properly and be, I would say 99% set, we need to be able to close. So what I'm saying is, we have time to execute it, but vegetation obviously takes time to grow. So I don't know how that affects everything.
Oh, no, and I guess,
I mean, is that an expectation we can all understand that if
I
we've
think
done
that's what
everything
they're gonna
properly?
look at in the spring.
Well, no, I'm saying, just as far as signing off on things so we can sell the
Oh,
house.
no,
That's all
yeah.
I mean.
no, I fully get that.
so, I'm doing a lot of talking, what do you guys think? It just, yeah, I mean,
We want to sketch, and I'd like to ask if you shorten up some of those, like, don't go 2 growing seasons, that's a long time.
I would want to see 2 growing seasons, I don't want to, I don't want and this is where I'm thinking about the work being completed properly. I'm not suggesting that the sale of the property gets tied up. I don't know if your lawyer can work with the people buying the house that basically says, you know, to make sure that everything is established the way it's supposed to be, there are a couple assessments and reports back to the commission that need to be done, and that they're understanding that, yes, somebody will,
And that cost falls on us.
Yes.
With Matt, the scientist.
I think I'm
Yeah.
mostly concerned with somebody turning on a sprinkler. I'm gonna set it all up so we can water it, but at some point, you know, we have, Mother Nature will provide some in September, October, it does get, you know, cooler and moisture, so things do grow pretty good. But I have to make sure too that somebody's watering it and I'm watering in the beginning. And then it's an expectation, which is slightly ambiguous for anyone to say how much is enough of the vegetation for an expectation. I want it to be 100% perfect in a year, but I don't know if, I mean, I've done so many plantings.
I think the 75%, 85%, that's pretty, 75% is a pretty standard vegetative
Fairly
cover
reasonable.
for
Yeah.
NIPD's compliance for stormwater management. So that's
in the ballpark.
That's one of those, it looks vegetated, you know.
Right.
Yes, there are dirt patch, you know, yes, it's not, you know.
but it'll fill in.
It'll fill in, you know, it's stable. Same thing with 85, you know, it's, you know, I think, again, not speaking for Mr. Morrow, my best hypothesis is that year 2 looks better than year 1. Not 10% better, you know.
I think that's inevitable.
That would be the
even
goal.
if nothing
And so
happens.
that would be my, you know, so 85, you know, yes, 85% is not, you know, I think that's a.
So he's probably got a mental checklist or stuff that he does that if he was going out and kind of saying what percentage, he has a way of looking in the field that says, yeah, I would say this meets 75, or, oh, something's really, it's only 50. Is that what
I
you may
only
want?
trust him to be a very good evaluator of that.
But it's also, if you have questions about how he would evaluate, has it hit 75%, he can probably tell you, this is what I would look at to say yes or no on that, that metric.
Right. And I feel like this because in the last 40 years of working with Mother Nature, there's a lot of things that happen that surprise you, and there are some things that frustrate you. And so I find that when I'm implementing my own plans for whatever it is, sometimes they say, oh, this is going to do this, and it doesn't, and other times something goes perfect. So I look at that, and I just kind of gauge it that way, and I know what an expectation, or what I feel is a good expectation is, and with Matt, you know, I balance that with Matt, and Matt will tell me, this is a really hardy mix we're putting in here, or this is,
Yeah.
these shrubs
And
are really,
I think what we're trying
you know.
to do is just see when we can start.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know.
I would want, again, tomorrow I'll communicate with Mr. Morrow, kind of thoughts from the commission based upon this discussion. And, you know, when he can get us kind of a final plan to review and approve, if the commission is amenable, kind of delegating that to the chair and myself, or if anyone else wants to see it, you know, kind of see what the, you know, again, whether it's, you know, kind of a GIS, you know, it may not be a formal delineated plan, you know, delineated surveyed plan, but to Margaret's point, it will be something that we can compare the after, you know, the after 2, and B, the 2 years after 2, as to determine, you know, that it has complied and it is substantially complete.
Yeah, that would be much appreciated.
I just have one comment, not to be a cog, but with the mandatory water restrictions.
So the water superintendent there are provisions in the water use regulations that allows for regulatorily required watering.
But you're
If
also
the
on a
commission-
private well? No, your town water. Okay.
And so, you know, all I need to do is send him an email and say 14 Francis Hill is, restoring riverfront area. Please don't issue them fines.
And part of it is
I
in
appreciate that
very
question.
shady areas, some spots, it's not gonna be as difficult to keep things moist. And then one only thing I'm trying to explain is that the part where you want him to do that, I think it's fine, but there are parts of it that can be executed right after I get the wattles on the sides and get it staked, and Matt looks at it and says, yep, yeah, it's good to go. I can remove all the gravelly material and get rid of it, which is, you know, sort of separate from the actual implementation of the actual plan. There's some gravelly material, he wants that removed before we do it.
Like the compacted gravel.
Yeah, that stuff he
yeah,
wants
yeah.
scarified and some of the
And
gravel
before
removed.
putting
And then
loam
the
on top
other
of it,
side-
right.
The other side has more gravel and material in it. So I removed all the piles of rocks, there's one small pile left, but everything else is gone from that area and it's ready to be removed. That wouldn't affect, as far as timing is concerned anyway, that would not affect the execution of the planting stuff, and it would give Matt time to give you a more cohesive plan.
Mr. Morrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with, if, the,
Ground prep.
ground prep, but I want to inspect erosion controls and make sure there's,
Right.
Absolutely.
again, wattles and silt fence and, make sure nothing, in the event, we get,
Hurricane.
yeah, one
I
of,
already measured it all out, and I'm gonna order them, I just wanted to know which ones to order, because I know there's specific ones, but I don't know, I don't wanna order the wrong ones, It's just the sock filled with hay and stakes, and every
No
so
hay.
much.
straw.
Whatever, straw, yeah. They sell them at, I think it's F&M, down in Framingham. He suggested.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I took, I
didn't know you
went
were doing
online and
that.
looked it all up, but I noticed there were a couple different kinds, and I just wanna make sure that we're using the correct one.
Oh, you had a question?
And separately, we're gonna ask for language for compliance by the new owners, right?
I want confirmation from the new homeowners that, this is ongoing, this is, the next 2 years, Mr. Morrow will be coming out doing site inspections again, it's, and I'm assuming that's in a purchase and sale
Oh,
agreement.
yeah, that it will not be their responsibility,
you know,
that it's, right, yes.
I mean,
Yeah. They just wanted to make sure that the majority of the work had been completed prior to closing,
Right.
just for their own peace of mind, which I fully understand and respect.
And that was part of my thinking about the conservation markers is if that is going to be at the top of the boulder retaining walls, that they understand that this large level expanse, that's going to be allowed to renaturalize as opposed to
Right.
being part of their yard.
Which they do understand, yes,
Okay.
that their lawyer
This is
has
shit.
been,
Yeah.
we've been very upfront and transparent
Okay.
with everybody once we found all of this out. So there are no surprises for
She's a
the
gardener.
buyer, so,
She is amenable to plants more than gravel, I'm sure.
yeah.
She wants to see things planted and.
But that she can't turn that into a vegetable garden.
No,
No,
I
no,
think
no.
in terms of her desire to see plants down there as opposed
Okay.
to gravel.
Yeah.
Okay, so seeing vegetated.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You say gardener, I think of a maintained garden.
No,
no,
she
no,
has
no.
plenty of other spots to
No.
garden, it's just simply she was also appreciative of what I've done in the yard and up above with the walls and
Can we move
plantings.
this forward?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so what do we need? So,
So based upon the discussion, I will send Mr. Moore an email based upon kind of input for what was provided in the conceptual restoration plan, in terms of getting it towards a final restoration plan with which, if amenable by the commission, be delegated for review and approval by the chair and myself.
A sketch.
Yeah, sketch.
Yeah.
Without another meeting.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why it's.
to be completed before the next meeting.
Right.
Yes, perfect.
Good.
That would be great.
But someone, just the final thing is if it can be all completed, somebody can sign off on it, we don't have to come to another meeting, or is that what?
I mean, if the commission is amenable, again, I'm more than happy to, perform the site inspection if, when the restoration plan has been substantially completed, complied with,
Sounds good to me.
If you're fine delegating that, I can, write an email to you and all the attorneys in the world.
Yes.
It may even coincide with a meeting in a couple of weeks, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to move it along because I'm very organized and very efficient and very motivated at this point to get as much done as I can within the scope of what we're allowed to do.
Perfect.
And then when the time comes to actually execute the plantings and such.
Yeah. We're good?
Great.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So, can I have a motion to authorize the commission's agent and the chair to review and approve the sketch of the proposed restoration plan?
In the sketch and the final restoration plan.
The sketch and the final restoration plan, meaning the final details?
Yes.
Okay. The sketch and the final details of the restoration plan, and for the commission's agent to do a field inspection once the work has been completed?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Excellent.
Aye.
And-
Thank you very much.
You also want to record that the future owners, something that effect.
Yep, and confirmation from the future owners.
And confirmation for the future owners that they are aware and agree with the details of this plan.
And that we are responsible for any follow-up.
Right,
over
and
the
that,
next 2
they know
years.
that,
They
that
are not
your
legally
wetland
responsible.
scientist will be
Yes.
doing the necessary,
Yes.
reports, to make sure everything's progressing the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you very much.
Thank
you
you.
can start doing the ground stuff.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll get.
Once the erosion controls are installed and I'm
Yes,
inspected.
of course.
Is
Let
that
me know.
something that you would do like in a 24-hour shot where if I get them all, put everything in?
Let me know when they're installed and I'll stop out.
All right,
I
awesome.
actually will probably lay them all out, but I won't put the stakes in until you show me, and then I can do it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have to adjust them after the stakes are put in.
All right,
Also,
awesome,
everybody.
guys. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Moving on to our 7:50 PM agenda item, it's ratify enforcement order for 73 Brookside Road.
As previously discussed at the commission's last meeting, and I think a draft was provided, and the provided enforcement order was issued following the commission's meeting. As such, I respectfully request the commission ratify the enforcement order as written.
Any questions? Can I have a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 73 Brookside Road?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Request for certificate of compliance for the Westford Land Use Management Project at Dana Drive and Buckboard Drive.
See, this is one of the times where everything got carried over, unfortunately. Oops. The order of this, as a representative of said department, I am respectfully requesting a certificate of compliance for the order of conditions 334-1409. It was for the installation of a beaver keystone prevention fence on the trail between Buckboard and Dana Drive. Presently on the screen is the location of the exclusion fence, and they were to clear the blocked culvert. Included in photos for the commission's consideration is the installation of the present day exclusion fence. The wetland is here to the page top. The photo on the left is fencing installed at the downstream outlet of the culvert, which was previously blocked. This order of conditions was from 2008. Work was done, assuming, shortly thereafter. This fence is monitored by the town's contractor to make sure it's good working function as part of its annual maintenance contract for beaver exclusion infrastructure throughout the Conservation Commission's properties. If the commission has any questions.
I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1409.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is the strategic discussion on commission reorganization and appointment of commission representatives to other boards and committees. At this point, the hope is that we have candidates to interview for our open position at our August 26th meeting, but with Marilyn stepping down, we have an opening on CPC. If there's an open space and recreation plan committee that will be formed, the commission would need a representative. So it's kind of like, let's just, if a new person comes on board, they're not going to be chair or vice chair, likely. Let's just get our, let's vote on our organization for the next up to a year. And if we need to change something, we can always reorganize later. So
You're looking to do that now or at our next meeting?
now.
Okay.
Because next meeting, if we have a recommendation, it's still going to be the select board have to appoint them. It's like normally we take care of chair, vice chair, committee representatives in the summer, and let's just kind of not kick the can down the road. So, chair and vice chair.
I like the current slate.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to nominate you again as chair of the conscom.
Second?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay.
No further discussion, it seems, so.
Unless you don't want to.
Well, it just, so, this has been a rockier year than the last couple. To be honest, I've had to tell people that, no, I'm not giving them my cell phone number. I have a landline. If people want to call me, they can use that. I do not do email on my phone. So if you send me an email at my town email address and I'm not by my computer, I'm not going to read it. And, those are the boundaries that I'm setting. I don't know if any of you would set different boundaries if you were the chair. At this point, yes, I would agree to serve as chair for another year, but I'm also starting to realize that we need to let other people, have experience doing stuff or taking on new roles, learning and gaining experience. I don't necessarily want to push somebody into it right now, but that's where my mind is going, that yes, I would serve another year. Maybe a year from now, I would look to have, somebody else step in and kind of get the experience of being in the role. But yeah, I'd be willing to serve if.
Great.
Okay.
And we accept your, you need to have some, personal, some distance. You can't always be on call.
I can't be, yeah,
You
and
can't.
and I have to tell the chair of the select board that. And, and so it's just,
They're young, they'll get over it.
huh?
They're young, they'll get over it.
Okay, so anyway, so there's a motion.
How many, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, how many people have we had so far that are interested? Is Catherine McGee still interested? I hope.
We're following up with her, and that's the,
Has
and
her down yet, or
Hmm?
is she in hiding, or?
I left a voicemail today.
I have sent her an email, I've left a voicemail message, I got no response, I asked Matt,
She'd be a great candidate.
yes. June, I also talked to her and she felt that Catherine would be a great candidate. So if Catherine is moved on to other things, part of that's why we'd also like to get a volunteer activity forms coming in. Are there other people out there that would like to come in and kind of start as an entry-level person?
How long are we keeping this open?
It's, I mean, the commission and it was anticipated to interview, meet with interested parties at the commission's next meeting on August 26th.
About 1 more week then.
Right. I mean, if people, I mean, if VAFs come in, you know, the Tuesday before the meeting, we're gonna, you know, I'm
Of
gonna.
course you're gonna accept it.
Right, you know, but if, you know, if there aren't any, you know, we'll cross that bridge on the 26th.
But it's also, you know, we're not close to a position where we don't have trouble making quorum on a regular basis. So we'd like to have a full body, but I think it's also important that we look to get more people in. So anyway.
So Margaret, you happy continuing as chair? We nominated you as such.
And I will agree to serve. So you made a motion and did somebody second it?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, moving on to vice chair. You know, you have a lot of experience.
I would say, either myself, I would continue. If not, I think Jim is the next strongest candidate.
I would agree.
Jim, how do you feel?
I don't feel that strong.
Okay. And actually,
Give it a try.
you know, and I guess, no offense, Ann, but looking at Noel and looking at Lauren, you know, you're basically our freshman.
New guy.
Yeah, at this point, I want you to be gaining experience being a commission member. You know, but yes, the day is going to come where, you know, Noel, Lauren, you may become more senior members and think, you know, get it in your mind of, you know, that at some point, maybe you want to, you know, one of you be the vice chair. I think, you know, just watching Eric and what Eric does when he's not big Eric. You know, just in terms of actually, I'll take a step back. My prior time on the commission, I was the vice chair. And it really is, you really just, the time you're most likely to do something is if the chair has to recuse themselves because they're in a butter or something like that. So, you know, it's the kind of thing that try it for a year, get the experience, stuff like that. So anyway, does somebody want to make a motion for somebody as the vice chair?
Oh,
Jim, you interested?
I said I'd give it a try.
You give it a
Right.
try?
I move that we,
I'll make the motion that we nominate Jim as vice chair of the commission.
second.
Second? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
All right.
And now,
I'm still gonna sit where I'm sitting though, Jim.
Okay.
our representative for the our representative on the Community Preservation Committee.
No one's interested, I would be.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion?
Are you interested? CPC.
Do you want it?
I'm interested, I just
Okay,
haven't
I'll
seen
make
what
the
they've
motion,
done.
that we nominate Noel.
I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And what Ed's point was where her husband serves on the committee as well.
She can't say.
Yeah, I think it would be a conflict at least until September when they may reorganize.
Yeah, but it just, yes, is, sometimes you err on the side of caution. Okay, the other thing is,
So does that make Noel a voting member of the Community Preservation Committee? Oh,
Does.
so you're a full
Yeah.
member of that committee then?
Yes,
Yes.
you're the commission's representative to that,
Okay.
you know, and.
Because like when we had somebody, I think Noel Donovan had been the representative to the agriculture.
Liaison.
Liaison, yeah.
Okay, that's the difference.
Yes.
Got it.
And actually, one of the things that I dove into is with the Community Preservation Committee and the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee, it's a commission representative. And I even got confirmation with the town manager that it's ours to appoint, not the town manager and not the select board. So we're the ones who would designate who will be our representative.
And a question on that. So if there are questions on approving, for certain projects, do I bring them up to the Conservation Commission to get approval?
So
I think Maryland's done that in the past.
we can have a conversation about that, because I think that's a good question, but I can look into that a little bit more, because again, town sponsored applications, the recreation departments, they're doing something with a field or something like that. Usually we have internal tech review before it kind of early on, hey, what are, what's rec doing? What's, conservation seeking? What's planning doing? What's housing? All kind of getting everything, from a town perspective, what's, maybe there's other pots of money that maybe, we could kind of apply for and, target that way. So usually, and again, usually when the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee, makes recommendations to the select board, I'm usually aware of what's going on. I try to, again, I don't want there to be some surprise on town meeting floor for some project that, should have come before the commission or, would benefit from, it is the applicant's, in the applicant's best interest to get support from various boards and committees, again, from the Recreation Department, from the Recreation
So
Commission.
if a part of the project was within our jurisdiction,
Or benefits trail,
I'll probably bring it up to get it on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that's a good, or remind the applicant, again, it's
Yeah.
kind of their project, hey, you.
so the applicant to the CPC would be the one who would have to bring the project to us.
Yeah, or.
But you could provide guidance or input to them, or someone call Matt.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so, did I get a motion for Noel to be our representative on CPC?
You did.
Yes.
Okay, and we second?
Yes.
So all those in favor?
did.
We did.
You did.
We did, okay. I'm sorry, you're right. Open space.
It's getting
and
late.
Yes.
Wrap it
Open
up.
space and recreation plan. There has been some talk about forming a committee to deal more with the implementation. And that committee would have a representative of the commission. I will not be on that. I went on to that committee because I believed it was important for us to get a plan submitted to the state. And looking at all the actions in that plan related to the commission, those were actions I could see the commission carrying out with or without a separate committee. If that committee gets reconstituted as an implementation committee, is there anybody interested in being our representative on that committee? Or do we cross that bridge when we get
I'd
there?
say cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay. Last one. Anybody interested in being the liaison to the Agricultural Commission? Just in terms, what's involved is participating in their meetings. If they've got questions that are related to stuff within our jurisdiction, you can bring the question back to the commission. I did it for you, and there's not, I think it came about.
There's one open real topic that's been going on for a while, the horses at the.
At the Neshoba Brook.
You're right.
For Bobby's Ranch, yeah, that thereafter. The whole thing with how things were going with the farmer was another issue. Sometimes I think what helps them is because the Day Farm parcel where they operate the community garden, it's actually under our care and custody. So sometimes it kind of helps if somebody is working with them as a representative of the commission. I think it got its start because Bob Boonstraw was instrumental, I think, in helping to form the Agricultural Commission. And in fact, he used to be their vice chair. So that when I came on as the liaison, they looked at me and they said, "Oh, you're going to be our vice chair too?" And I was like, "No." So, but the short answer is, I think it's good to have a working relationship. If they start getting more involved with the farming aspect of parcels under our care and custody, maybe we want to have a little bit more of a connection. So, not that we need to decide it tonight, but think about it, is that can be a good way of gaining more experience just working on boards and committees. So. Anything else? Yeah, okay. Over to you, Matt.
Enforcement kind of updates. Included in the commission's physical meeting packet, but we seem to include it in the overall meeting packet, was the plan prepared for 123 Oak Hill Road. Just that the wetland was delineated and the 100-foot buffer is shown. A portion of disturbed and altered areas was within 100 feet of a jurisdictional wetland resource area. Kind of a restoration plan per se is in the works from the property owner's consultant. 43 Cold Spring Road, they're looking to get a wetland scientist to delineate and get an existing conditions plan kind of as a first step. 27 Penny Road, last week I reviewed and approved the plantings that were proposed. Again, it was a mix of kind of smaller trees and fruit-bearing, flowering, larger shrubs. 13 Forest Road, I have not had any update from them with respect to kind of how the establishment of the regraded area of fill. 6 Loon Way, a vernal pool buffer restoration plan is in the works as retold to me by the property owner's consultant. So that should be prepared shortly to, again, enhance the vernal pool buffer that was altered. 12 Patton Road, I need to follow up with the property owner. They were relocating some of the conservation posts as they were not installed in the right location. They were installed more conservatively than the plan of record required, and so they were going to do that. And so here we are. 7 Applewood Drive, the crushed stone, the area of crushed stone has been removed. Erosion controls were installed. The area was seeded, and so hopefully in the upcoming weeks and months, that'll get established, and the buffer, the naturalized buffer area as was required in the approved plan will be established and protected. 400 Littleton Road, did hear from the property owner's wetland scientist. They anticipate being at the August 26th meeting, looking for, again, a whole another myriad of certificates of compliance for outstanding orders of conditions. 14 Francis Hill Road, we discussed and ratified tonight. 73 Brookside Road was ratified tonight. If the commission has any questions, be happy to address. That's it for me. I do not have updates with respect. Let's go back to the agenda. There we go. Good. 20 Keys Road and 35 Keys Road, I do not have an update at this time. The RFPs for the Day Agricultural Field and Hill Orchard. Hill Orchard is certainly much more closer to being released, again, based upon the discussion with Mr. Olala earlier. The Day Agricultural Field, as raised during the open forum, I'll get that released shortly in days and get a confirmation of the day it will be released and circulated to the Ms. Doucette and any other interested parties for the upcoming growing seasons. Lakeside Meadows encroachments and vegetation dumping. I did receive an email from the chair during one of her walks regarding both looked like a tracked piece of equipment kind of entered onto the open space meadow parcel between Lakeside Terrace and the water body. I need to follow up with the homeowners association to let them know that that occurred and that that's most likely in violation of the conservation restriction. Additionally, a couple trees rotted and fell and were along the northerly end of the roadway within the conservation restriction line. With respect to the Emmett and Neshoba Brook conservation areas, I do not have an update at this time. The Community Preservation Act funded projects, I don't have update for those either. Actually, with respect to Freedom Park, I spoke with a fence viewer who provided guidance and assistance and kind of recommended next steps in replacing the fence.
Do you have markers in already now?
So the survey markers have already been, I mean, it's been surveyed. But it's just kind of how to deal with fence going from private property onto the town's land, back onto private property. And he recommended to send a letter that you're going to go do it and have them reach out to you and let them know that you're putting the fence solely on, say, the commission's property, and if they want privacy fencing, to install it on their own property, which I thought was great advice. And again, now something for your guys' annual report.
So did we have it surveyed?
Yes, it's been surveyed.
Like in last year, right?
Yeah. About
Last
year.
spring.
Yeah, maybe last spring. So maybe 18 months, 15 months, something like that.
The iron spikes are still there?
I haven't checked lately, but I will confirm.
I hope so.
What pipes?
Yeah, to mark the boundaries.
The
The cheapest thing you can do is.
The pipe in the ground.
Yeah.
Steel pipe in the ground, yeah.
Don't have any updates presently with either of the Stony Brook Conservation Area items. Edwards Woods, I need to take the contract to the town manager to execute, to delineate, to survey the Edwards Woods property.
Quick question.
Yep.
Margaret, is there a group working on East Boston camps, focus group or?
The task force.
I got appointed by you guys.
I'll follow up
That's right.
with.
Jim is on it.
I'll follow up with Mike Edwards. I've seen.
He should be back by now.
Yeah, I'll check in with him tomorrow and see where. I've seen one email to one interested resident. So, one at-large
I
resident.
talked to him and told him I'm appointed by the commission.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'll-
Haven't done anything else.
Matt will follow up, but yes, because there was an at-large member who expressed interest and copied me. I think he copied you as well, or they copied you as well. And Mike had said that some other, getting the task force started had been interrupted with some other priorities, but that they were circling back to it. So hopefully we'll hear from them. But yeah.
I do not have an update on the Summer Village CR. And as y'all can see, I reviewed 4 sets of minutes, April 29th through June 10th.
Who's taking minutes?
We're hiring somebody.
Okay, so I thought.
Yeah. It's presently posted. We've got a couple resumes if people are interested. Submit resumes and emails of interest to whatever it says on the posting.
Okay, so have people had a chance to review the April 29th meeting minutes? Any corrections? I just had one on the bottom of page 3 where there was a comment.
Which set of minutes?
The 29th.
Okay.
Yeah, they were in that. But yeah, there was a comment attributed to Jeffries, and I just said it has to be, you have to note that it's Ann, because Bob had spoken earlier, and we needed to make sure that, we had their separate comments. So if there are no other changes, can I have a motion to approve the April 29th, 2026 minutes as amended?
I will abstain.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. 5, any, and one abstention? Okay. Moving on to our May 13th minutes. People, any comments or corrections?
Good.
Okay, I had one correction on page 2 under open forum when it talked about the scout troops doing litter cleanup. It was Scout Troop 195 pick up trash along Forge Village Road, Cub Scout packs 196 pick up trash at Stony Brook Conservation Area in EBC. So just making sure we give the right troops and packs credit for the cleanup that they did. If there are no other corrections, can I have a motion to approve the May 13th, 2026 minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May 27th. People had a chance to review? Any comments or corrections?
Again, I'll abstain. I was not there.
Good.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the May 27th, 2026 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention? Okay. Moving on to June 10th. Any comments or corrections?
Oh, there was one typo in the first open forum paragraph. It looks like he said they are doing only,
Just doing.
it's just they are, it should, I think maybe just be
Delete
they
the-
are only disturbing the area where they are
Delete
working.
doing.
Next meeting, sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm pulling it up so I can see and make the, geez, these are long meeting minutes.
Right there. Delete the word doing, I think.
Yes.
To be,
They appear to be doing, no.
He said they are only disturbing the area where they are working.
you're only disturbing the area.
So get rid of that.
Get rid of doing.
Oh,
The earlier.
the first doing, okay.
The first two.
Yeah.
What the one doing?
That one,
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That's it, you said the same thing, right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Not a big deal. Marilyn's not.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 10th, 2026 as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and June 24th.
I didn't,
We don't have
did I?
to.
We
I
don't
didn't
have
include
to-
those.
Okay,
I could only do 4.
okay, well, 4 is better than none. Okay. Anything else? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.